Hi viewers, thank you very much for your continued support in watching our clips on the channel. Please, as promised, we will continue to give you diverse fields about immigration. Now today let us talk about citizenship. Who is a Kenyan citizen? But before we go there, I need to update you on very basic fundamentals of international law. How does a country qualify to be a state? For a country to be accepted or conferred into statehood, it must meet some basic criteria. Like Kenya, as a country, has met the following criteria. It has a defined geography. It has a permanent population. The population can be comprised of Kenyans or non-Kenyans. It must have a government, and it must have the capacity to enter into relations with other states like Uganda, Somalia, United States, and so forth. Now that we know what a state is, and we know one of the parameters of being a state is citizenship or permanent population, let us now look at who is a Kenyan citizen and how is Kenyan citizenship acquired. Essentially, there are two ways that one can become a Kenyan citizen. And the first one is you are either born a Kenyan citizen, and the second one is you register as a Kenyan citizen. Let us look at Kenyan citizenship by birth. If at the time of your birth, one of your parents, the mother or the father or both of them, are or were Kenyans, then you are Kenyan by birth. Secondly, if a child that appears to be 8 years and below is found within our territory and we cannot ascertain their citizenship, that child will be presumed to be a Kenyan citizen by birth. There is a process, of course, all the way to court that will have to declare that child a Kenyan, but they will be presumed to be Kenyan. Unlike where you're born, to Kenyan parents, when you're presumed to be a citizen, in the future, if it is discovered that your parents were not from Kenya, that citizenship can be scrapped, and you can, then you will have to go back to such other country that you came from. Now that we've looked at citizenship by birth, I have to clarify a few things. Number one, it does not matter where you are born. As long as one of your parents was or is Kenyan, then you are Kenyan by birth. Your parent could be living in Dubai or in Washington or in South Africa or wherever. But as long as one of your parents was Kenyan when you were born, then you're Kenyan by birth. Number two, if you are Kenyan by registration and then you give birth to a Kenyan, that child will become a Kenyan citizen by birth. It does not matter how you became a citizen. As long as when you get your child, you're Kenyan, then that child continues to be a Kenyan by birth. And important to say is, Kenyan by birth cannot be, cancelled. No one can deny you of that right unless you renounce it to yourself, but then you can still regain it. Now let us go to the other kind of citizenship. If you're not Kenyan by birth, you can still become Kenyan through a process known as registration. And there are several ways that can happen. Number one, for people that have lived in Kenya for at least 7 years on a lawful residency. And lawful residency, I mean you are either on a permit or you're on a status that is considered lawful for the purposes of citizenship. That is to mean, if you've been living in Kenya illegally even if you live here for a century, you cannot apply to be Kenyan citizen. And if you are a diplomat, and people that are exempted from immigration processes, they too do not qualify to register for Kenyan citizenship. There are other people that may not be considered for this registration, and those are refugees. Refugees are people that have been here for some time because of challenges in their own country. And also students. Even if you have been a student for several years in Kenya on a student pass, you may not be considered to apply for citizenship by registration. Other people that can apply to be Kenyans by registration are spouses of Kenyans. If you are married to a Kenyan citizen for a period of up to 7 years and you had acquired dependency, maybe you got a dependent pass, after the 7th year you can apply to be considered as a Kenyan citizen by virtue of marriage. Remember, in the event that you've been married to a Kenyan citizen and on the year 3 your Kenyan spouse passes on and you remain unmarried up to the expiry of 7 years, you too can apply to be a citizen by marriage, but as a widow or widow of a Kenyan. So I hope it is clear to you how you can become a Kenyan citizen is either by birth or by registration. Thank you very much for watching, and please remember to subscribe.